Hello and welcome to the Knock On podcast, brought to you by the good people at Zero Tackle. And Dan, I didn't even have time to find my shirt tonight. We just had to, I don't even have pants on. We just had to run home and talk rugby league because what was a typical Wednesday morning I sent to you, I don't think there's any talking points, maybe something here, maybe something there. There's 15 things to talk about, Dan. What's going on in rugby league these days?
Everything's happening in rugby league these days, mate. Terry, welcome back. It looks like your return has coincided with the most ridiculous news day of rugby league I can remember. Let's dive straight into it. Let's talk about the big talking point, or the one that the Bulldogs think is the big talking point, and that it's Jacob Preston has been suspended for 4 weeks, not for a crusher tackle, but for a crusher tackle that followed 7 or 8 other things. And now we miss Origin, plus a lot of weeks by the time you factor in the buys. Give me your thoughts on Jacob Preston.
Well, my first thoughts are Bulldogs fans, they just don't understand how this works. They're like, 4 weeks for that crusher tackle. No. It was like $3,000 or a 1-week suspension for that crusher tackle. The simple fact of the matter is he had priors. So he had been that's his third charge in 8 games. That's a charge every 2.6 games. That's why he's sitting out for 4 weeks now. Now I thought it was ridiculous to go and fight this because as far as crusher tackles went, that was pretty textbook.
Yeah.
Off the ground, feet lifted, jump down, pressure on the back of the neck. Now the Bulldogs fan today tell me, he was on the back of his neck for 1 second. Thank you. That's why it was only a grade 1. That's why it was only a grade 1 charge. It's just the other things accumulated. Oh, well, where else would you find somewhere where you go and fight a system and if you don't correctly overturn it, you get more? Every legal system in the world. That's why they offer you a plea. That's why they say to you, hey, you can take 3 weeks, or if you want to waste everyone's time and be found guilty, you can have an extra week. It's like anything. If there's overwhelming evidence against you, the police will turn around and say, Dan, been a naughty boy, 5 years. If you want to fight this, please don't. But if you want to fight this and you lose, 8 years. This is what happens. And people are going, oh, the match review committee got it wrong. No, they didn't. They did not get it wrong. You know who got it wrong? Jacob Preston. 3 times this year, Jacob Preston got it wrong. No one else. He's got no one to blame but himself. Now, it sounds harsh because as far as crusher tackles or high shots and blah, 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 but that's not, you've got to take this isolated incident out and have a look that he has had a charge every 2.6 games. That's what you need to have a look at. And so, oh yeah, but this is the one that's copping him the 4 weeks. Yeah, that's because this is the old saying, the straw that broke the camel's back.
Mm-hmm.
They've had enough. The judiciary have had enough. Like, he's been fined $6,000 so far this year. They've had enough of him. That's my thoughts on it.
Ultimately, I agree. They've had enough. In a vacuum, I've said this elsewhere, that tackle, of course, it doesn't constitute 4 weeks. That's not why he was suspended for 4 weeks. It's the numerous other things that happened before. Now, if you want to say the system isn't perfect, yeah, I can hear an argument, but they got it exactly right. They followed their own system, the system that every other team plays against. The fact that Jacob Preston was linked to Origin, and I'll touch on that in 1 second, he's brought a bit of emotion in. The fact that the Bulldogs have been down for so long and are flying and now seeing themselves as, they're being targeted, et cetera, that's where the emotion's coming in. Once everyone calms down, I think they'll realise, Preston himself included, we probably made the wrong decision. We'd have taken the 3. Now, it does reset unless he goes again and again, and it accumulates quite quickly. But I didn't like the fact that he's come out, or the Bulldogs come out and said, there's talk of the lawyer threatening that they need to crack down on lying down and on diving and milking penalties. Okay, yeah, we all agree nobody wants that. But the problem is that they didn't charge because Tino laid down hurt. I do believe the injury comes into it in very serious circumstances, but injury isn't taken into account these grade 1 charges. If the worst had been the worst and he had been very seriously injured, you would have seen a grade 3 slapped on. The fact is the grade 1 followed the grade 1 that followed the grade 1 that followed the grade 1. That's why you get 4 weeks. Now, just quietly, I don't think Jacob Preston's in the Origin discussion at the moment.
Oh, I had him. I had him in there.
Yeah, he should be, but I have a feeling that Liam Martin and Angus Young are going to get picked, and Angus Crichton rather are going to get picked. I think Hudson Young and Ola Kawatu were 3 and 4. One of them might play on the outside. I don't know. Now, if you told me that Preston did get picked, I'm not arguing because I think he's a very good footballer. Last year, I actually said that he's at Origin certainty. This year, I doubled down. So Bulldogs, don't get it wrong. He will play Origin, just not yet. I think the NRL named it as much as I hate to see a player sit down for 4 weeks.
In terms of Jacob Preston for Origin, Laurie Daly said that he was picking this team on form. If he was absolutely picking this team on form, the left edge back row would be Hudson Young and the right edge back row would be Jacob Preston. Except Preston has been a naughty boy and he's suspended 4 weeks.
Exactly right. But, mate, moving from one right edge back row to one left edge back row. And this is a name that we've talked about the last few weeks. And today, whoa, it's changed again. David Fifita has gone from signing with the Roosters to saying, sorry, I'm going to stay with the Titans. Des Hasler holding him up at the press conference and saying, yay, we got him. To start in the preseason, starting off the bench in the regular season, coming on and playing really well and being the best player in a badly beaten team that lost by 20 points. Got dropped. It's come out that he wants to play left back row. There may be a little bit more to it. And now they've said, and they're actively shopping him to 2 clubs. I won't mention who I think they were. Check Zero Tackle. I've linked him to 5 tomorrow at 8:07, I believe.
I was going to say to you at the end of this, it sounds like we need 5 landing points for David Fifita, but you beat me to it. Now, look, it didn't take, like Stevie Wonder, like blind as you can get, knew and saw that this was only going to end in disaster because he had so many contract clauses and every year he used it to get more money out of the Titans and he was a certainty to go to Penrith. Then he changed his mind and he said he was going to go to the Roosters, and at the last minute when the Roosters were about to announce him, he backflipped and he's gone to the Titans. His heart's not at the Titans. His wallet is. And now he's like kicking up a stink. He's got no more get out clauses in his contract. So now, how else you do it? Well, both Foreman was in exceptional form. I want his spot. And I'm not going to play on the right edge and I don't want to come off the bench. Well, okay, go play left edge back row for the Q Cup. I think Des hasn't handled that quite well. If that's where you want to play, you now have to wait for Beau Fermor to have his knee explode, play Origin, or completely drop off in form. Because I tell you something, the Titans are a garbage team. They really are garbage. Beau Fermor is the best player in that team at the moment. And it's not even close. So he's picked the wrong battle. You should have turned around and said, why am I not playing over Cleese Haas?
Yes.
That's the way that you should have looked at there. Or why can't you name me and I just roam around the field and if there's a small halfback that can't tackle, me and Beau Fermor will run at him. So I think he's gone. I think he's played his last game at the Titans. Who can afford him though? Do the Roosters go back to him and say, well, yeah, we've still got some money. You probably should have been here. Do Penrith, who probably have some money. Do the Panthers then turn around and go, well, you played us once. I don't think I would have loved to have seen Dave Fifita at Canberra, but he's not going to get the left edge spot down there, and he doesn't want to play on the right. Manly, but do Manly have any money? They do now that DCE's gone.
Maybe.
I mean, Ben Travojevic or David Fifita? Ben Travojevic or David Fifita? Which way are you going to run? Newcastle could probably look at him and go, actually, Dylan Lucas is, So where can he go? People have been saying the Broncos. If he goes to the Broncos, the salary cap system's rorted. If he goes to Redcliffe, I don't know. Where do you think he's landing? Can you give us one?
Well, I'll give you a couple because by the time this publishes, it would have dropped. I just realized as I made that intro. Look, Manly, one of the teams that I linked straight away, they're losing DCE. They're getting Fogarty. There's a fair bit of money that they've saved there. You can't tell me they can't move on. Jake Travojevic becomes more club-friendly in the next year or two. The name that I'm going to throw out there that you may get a bit of pushback, and yes, I had Penrith on the list too, is Parramatta.
Oh, yeah, good shout.
They're losing a fairly decent money player in Dylan, Edward, what's his name?
Oh, John Brown, yeah.
Now it's not on the money that he's signing for, but it's a big thing. Now
He was still on about 800 though or something.
big money. Now Sean Lane, we don't want to make fun. We don't know what his future is. Bryce Cartwright and Ryan Madison are both
Right.
playing reserve grade, and I just don't think they've got a player in there that you can say, oh, geez, it's worth missing out on Dave Fifita. So I linked him. And the second one, and more on this in a minute, is the Perth Bears. Now I think that they can organise that Penrith or Manly or something talk to the Titans and say, look, we can't take him this year. We'll take him next year, but we split the payment. 1 year deal.
Yeah.
Or the Titans just pay him out and he goes and sits in Q Cup or wherever for 1 year and signs as the inaugural and marquee signing for the Perth Bears. Because I don't think they're in a position where they can turn down players of his talent.
Yeah, I don't think they are in a position to turn down players of his talent, but I also think that if you're starting a franchise, he would be right down the bottom of the players that you want, seeing how much of a pain in the ass he is.
True, but he'll play left back row.
Yeah, for how long?
Oh, until they sign a left back row, I think. But yeah,
Yeah.
make sure you keep that out. That's going to be one to watch. But you wanted to talk about Des Hasler. Now I wanted to roll them all into one, but you
Yep.
insisted. So please.
Now, when the Gold Coast Titans signed Des Hasler, my first reaction to this was, oh, he's not a good coach anymore. He was a good coach in 2011, 2012, 2013. The wheels started coming off. He went back to Manly. It was disastrous. Who saw, who saw this coming, that it was going to end in disaster? Now, it's come out today by either Shamus or Karianis. I don't know which journalist it was. They were on NRL 360 and I quickly scrolled past it. But it's come out today that there's a clause in Des Hasler's contract that says that if he does not make the top 8 this year, that he's sacked. You might as well just do it now.
Go on.
You might as well just get rid of him now. If that is a clause that you can actually put in your coach's contract, you may as well just go and get rid of him right now. I absolutely think that the Gold Coast have leaked this for that very reason, for Hasler to turn around and walk in there and say, just pay me out. But at the same time, as this ongoing saga with Fifita is going on, are they then going to turn around and go, well, we get rid of Hasler and we keep Fifita and we see if the new coach comes in, the third coach comes in and can get the best out of Dave Fifita? Or do they just move them both on? What are your thoughts?
Well, I hadn't seen this, so which is why I was glad you put it on there. I am not a fan of Des Hasler. I thought when they appointed him, it was ridiculous, and I think that the fact that he has made this so public with Fifita, players of this ilk, you have to work around. Now, a good coach would have convinced him to play right back row, or Bo Firma could have played on the right, where he's played in the past. I don't like the fact that he's playing this DeGroot kid over AJ Brimson at fullback. He's okay. There's been a few injuries. I get it. But you look at the players and you think, okay, your top 5 players are Dave Fifita, Tino, Brimson, and then whoever. You got those 3 go where they go, and then you build around them. So I think he's absolutely fluff out.
Jaden Campbell's better than Brimson.
Yeah, but he's a halfback. Brimson's playing.
Well, but I mean, he was a 5'8". They've moved him to halfback to accommodate Brimson, who's garbage.
Exactly, who should be playing fullback. But anyway, it's another story. I don't think they're not making the 8. They're a horrible team. That back line is ridiculous. He lost me completely when he named that Fitzgibbon to debut and then pulled him late and put a winger in the centre and both Former in the centres and then put the Philip Sami, on the wing and then put Fitzgibbon on when they were 20 points down on the wing and he knocked the ball in the first minute and then he didn't get picked for a couple of weeks. Like, are you kidding me? Well, what are you doing? You just no. Hasler's got to go. So yeah, they won't make they get rid of him. I think today or yesterday, by the time this drops, has said that they can't keep Fifita. He's not going to turn around and go, "Oh, you want me now?" No, he's gone. So yeah, move on to both of them, 100%.
But I could see the Titans being like, well, we've got rid of him. Do you want to stay?
Yeah, look, fair enough. They need something because they ain't a good football team. That hurts me to say. Now, let's talk about the Roosters, mate. Let's talk about the outs before we talk about the ins. Dong Young has also been told, "Git." Earlier yesterday, I posted 5 landing spots. People are like, oh, no one's going to want Dom Young. He's a 23-year-old 2-metre winger who scored 100 tries in his 50 games. During his time at Newcastle, he and Greg Margie were the best wingers in the competition. I dare you. Come and fight me about that. That's how good they were. Mate, if he's not back at Newcastle by the end of the weekend, I don't know what's what.
Yeah, and it's it's come out about Dom Young. He's a shy kid. He is a kid. 23 years old in rugby league. He's a kid. And he's living in another country. He's grown up in Huddersfield. I don't know if people know what Huddersfield's like. It's really cold. It's nothing like Australia. It's a cold, miserable place,
Like,
and it's the home of rugby league. There's the inn over there where they created rugby league out of rugby union. It's the home of rugby league. It's a small town. It's beautiful. I lived there for many a year. It's great, but most of the kids that grow up in there, they love England. They're really shy. And he is a really shy, laid back kid who went to Newcastle and had the shy, laid back attitude and was awesome for them. And he really was awesome for them. And then was like, you know what? I need to get out of my comfort zone. And he got out of his comfort zone and it hasn't worked. Go back to Newcastle, stand on the right wing, look at your best mate, Greg Marju over there, and get fed by Kalen Ponga.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think he
Great.
had to go. Now, I
Yeah.
linked him straight to the Bears. You go back to
Mhm.
Newcastle for a year and
No, I think he'd go home before he went to Perth.
yeah. And they also have direct flights back to London, which is why I thought that would work.
Fair.
I also looked at Melbourne for a year because
Yep.
as we discussed off, there's a few players that look like they're moving. Farlongo wants to play fullback elsewhere, etc., etc. So there were a few options there. But yeah, I would be shocked if he doesn't go back to Newcastle. I'd be
I
shocked if he doesn't do well at Newcastle.
if I could have given you one Sydney team for him to go to that I think it might work because their backline is atrocious, Parramatta.
Oh, I said South, so that's a very good shout.
Yeah,
Well,
South is a good shout as well, but Parramatta have got like this awkward situation where Yongi's young and he's going to be good. Adokar's old but used to be good, but would be a pretty good mentor for Dom Young. Will Penasini is full of potential. Whether it's going to burst out of the scenes one day, you don't know. Zach Lomax is awesome. Then you got Sean Russell, um, John Simrani.
decent. My thinking was that he needs a coach who's just going to be like, sit down. It's Wayne Bennett.
Yeah, and Wayne Bennett had him when he was the coach of England as well.
Yep. So I think, look, if he hasn't signed for Newcastle, there's 3 or 4 teams that I think could go in for him. I think he's going to be a spectacular player. And he's 23. Every player in the world's had a down season. He's having his. With the Roosters, mate, saying goodbye to Dom Young, that's pretty much official. One that will be official by the time this drops, the Chiefs. Brandon Smith.
Yeah.
Another one.
Now I don't know if it is going to be. I don't know if it is going to be official, Dan, because the Roosters have turned around and said they want a transfer fee for him. If I'm South, no.
What?
He's got an ace.
You know
He's
what?
got an ACL tear, and he's got 1 year left on his contract.
Why would you pay a single cent? You just wait, and then you don't have to pay for his bloody rehab because the Roosters are paying for it now.
Yeah, like there was literally something that said the Roosters wanted $200,000 release fee, but South can only get to 150 grand. If I'm South Sydney, I'm offering him $1.50.
Yeah, not even that. I'm saying you pay us, mate, because we got to take
Yeah.
the bloody.
We're going to take the rehab on a knee injury that we didn't cause, and you want rid of this player and his wages. Like now we're only paying half his wages for the rest of the year.
I said yesterday when it came out that the Roosters and South could play ball with Dom Young. In that, we'll pay a little bit more this year, next year you pay a little bit more. But I don't think they want to do that. And it sounds like this is coming into it because
Yeah.
Brandon Smith, don't get me wrong, he's a very good player. He's a premiership winning player. He's done some dumb stuff, right? Some really dumb stuff. And he's the sort of bloke that everyone goes, cheese, when he got caught doing what he did, it's just a cheese being him. He went on a podcast and he said he can't wait to wear, cheese. Let's see him pull that crap in front of Wayne Bennett. He's going to say, sit down and play football, mate.
The day before he's released, I want him to go on the Horoscope podcast with Justin Horror and Willie Mason in a Roosters shirt saying, I can't wait to win a premiership South Sydney.
Yeah, that will be glorious. Like I just want to see it. But look, he's gone. Dom Young's gone. Sure sounds like they're clearing the decks, mate. And again, there has been rumours, reports, because we don't know, nothing's official till it's official. The Daly Cherry Evans has signed a secret $1 million 1 year deal, which is weird, for the Roosters next year. That's strange.
Yeah. Look, if the Titans get rid of Fifita, that's where DCE should go, and just turn around and go, look, I did sign for you 10 years ago. Here I am now.
That'd be a great
Um,
story.
the Roosters, though, it sounds like they're either going to go back for David Fifita or they're hoping that Joey Manu's going to come back. And yeah, they're setting up for Daly Cherry Evans for a year and hoping that Sam Walker comes back, the player that he is. Sam Walker in DCE, does it work? I don't know.
That's why it's 1 year.
Yeah, yeah.
But
And I guess if it works, you give him another year,
but
right?
that's the thing, and everyone's talking, "Oh, what about the risk? What about young Hugo Savala?" Okay, this kid can sit for a year behind decent.
What about Sandon Smith? Like Sandon Smith last year he was the backup to Chad Townsend.
Exactly. So look, Smith can play a bit of 9, like, they're getting rid of a 9, and Docker Clay's been told that he can look elsewhere.
And Savala can play lock. He's big.
Yeah, so I look, it's Daly Cherry Evans, Roosters fan. So if you're worried, don't be, because this just reeks of the Cooper Cronk thing, where you
Yeah.
had a team that got very, very close and went through a bit of a rebuild. You add a superstar halfback who wins you 2 premierships, and then you go on your merry way and you're set up. I would be shocked, as we were when we heard that he was leaving Manly, that he doesn't end up at the Roosters. But I am a little bit shocked that it's a 1-year deal, because reportedly he told Manly, "No, I want 2," and they said no. So he said, "Oh, I'm out," and they said, "Actually, you can have 2." He said, "No, it's done. Sorry." Gone.
Do you think that he's doing the 1 year at the Roosters to then go and be the marquee in Perth?
Look, mate, everything is gonna.
Or does he get the marquee in Papua New Guinea?
Well, that's what you gotta do, smart players do, but I also think he's only signed a 1-year deal because he said early on, "I don't know if I'm gonna play on yet, but if I do, it won't be at Manly." Those aren't the words that says, "I got 5 years left." That's,
Yeah.
gonna see what's coming. I think he signs a 1-year deal at the Roosters. I think they quickly get him on a 2nd year. But is it worth risking losing a Sandon Smith or a Hugo Savala? I think more a Smith, because I think he and Walker work really well together, for a 1-year premiership. Because if you offer me a premiership, but we had to lose Braden Trindle, I'm taking the premiership.
Yeah. If Sandon Smith walked in and said, "If you sign Daly Cherry Evans, I'm going to Perth. I'm writing him a check for a ticket to Perth."
Right.
It's Daly Cherry Evans. It's Origin captain. He's captain Australia once upon a time. He's a gun. Like, I know he's only got 1 premiership to his name, but let's face it, in the 15 years that he's played in the NRL, he's always been top 3 halfback.
Spot on. I don't think it's even up for debate.
But then people turn around and go, "How's he always been a top 3 halfback? You got Cronk, you got Thurston." Yeah, Cherry Evans was number 3.
Yeah, exactly.
Cherry Evans was very clearly number 3. And then when they left, and Mitchell Moses and Nathan Cleary and Nico Hines and this year Jamal Fogarty, well, guess what? Jalen Cherry Evans is still number 3.
Yep.
He's still, at 36 years old, he's still number 3 on that list.
Very, very good.
He's a very, very good halfback.
But mate, you alluded to it before. The Perth Bears set to officially be official by the time this drops, because the Premier of Perth, can't remember his name, no disrespect, I just flat chat, don't care. He's come out and said, "We've got a deal. The Perth Bears are back, baby." So boys, are you gonna look silly if the NRL pull and go, "Actually, no," at the last minute? Finally, about 10 years too late, we have a Perth teammate. I know you're not huge on it. I don't care. I think this is great for rugby league.
Yeah, look, I get it. It's another time slot. It's another set of fans. It's another set of eyes. It's good on the TV deal or whatever. But yeah, like I'm not a huge fan of it, mainly just because of the travel, the time zone. That, like, the fact that you can literally fly to New Zealand and back before you get to Perth.
Mm.
I don't like it. The stadium's cool.
So,
The stadium's really good. I've been to Perth before. I've been to the stadium. I haven't been to the stadium to watch a game, but I've done the $10 tour. Go and check it out when no one's in the stadium. It's a beautiful stadium, and you can see why, like, the Nines was a big successful event there. I just get the feeling that they've caved to pressure. They didn't have the patience for New Zealand to get their shit together. They probably didn't want to introduce another Queensland team because the Titans and the Dolphins really aren't all what it's cracked up to be. And Brisbane and the Cowboys are, they are where they're at. They've gone to Perth. I could see it folding within 5 years. I don't want it to, but I could see it happening.
I was more worried about the Titans when they started, because they'd folded 5 times already. I think
Yeah.
so I lived in Perth 2 years ago. Not many people know that, because I try and hide it, because it's Perth and I didn't particularly like it. I went over there and I said to them, there was an AFL game on. I think the Dockers were playing Fremantle, for those who don't follow that rubbish. And I said, "Guys, is there any chance we can get the Sharks put on?" Now this is 20 years ago now. So Foxtel wasn't. You couldn't stream. You had like 2 megabytes of, or gigabytes, whatever. I don't know. I'm not that into it, of streaming power. And if we watch one game, you're gone for the month, sort of thing. And they said, yeah, it's on the back TV, but there's no sound. And I was like, whatever. You go in there. It's a little old analog TV that was like half black and white and scattered. I was like, whatever. And we went and put the wireless on because that's how we all went and listened to it on the radio. They just didn't care. And I was wearing a Sharks jersey. No one looked at me. If you walked down there and you didn't have a Fremantle or a West Coast jersey or Guernsey on Derby Day, I think they call it over there, you were an outcast. Very different now. The NRL used to be on Channel 9 after the AFL. That's how far back it was. So 12 midnight over there, the game would come on, which is 3 or 2 o'clock over in, normal time. It's changed. A lot of expats are over there. It's just a different market. You can stream. Origin sold out. The game the other week, with no team, when they just been told you're probably not going to get a team, attracted a huge crowd, albeit in a double header. I think it's very good. Perth is a team I've been very, very behind for a lot of years. I don't think there's enough talent to warrant another team, let alone 2. I think New Guinea are just going to be bad. I think it's going to be made up of a lot of New Guinea players, young kids and blokes that are past it looking for a paycheck. It's going to be the new Super League. You hit there before you go to the Super League, or maybe you even come back. I don't know. Perth, I think, can attract some marquee players, but that's going to hurt other teams. So I'm worried about the quality of the game, but Perth itself, I'm really excited to see come in. But mate, speaking of excitement, we got some news today that you'll be very happy as a dirty rotten English turncoat. KL Hero, as we must refer to him now, is eligible to play for England, being that he was born over there, which means we have a potential Kale Iro and Herbie Farnworth centre pairing for an Ashes series where they'll probably, the Hammer and Val or Val and potentially Lomax, Turbo, Best, Latrell, Crichton. Sign me up.
Yeah, look, Farnworth and Iro is an amazing centre combination. It's just a shame the rest of the team's shit.
It doesn't matter. Just get it to the centres.
Yeah, it doesn't matter at all. Look, I think he's probably doing this to put a bit of pressure on the New Zealand team, if I'm honest.
He did say he wanted to keep playing for
the Cook Islands,
though. So I mean, he can't either way.
Yeah, so he's eligible for 4 teams. That's it is what it is. He's eligible for England. I think he's eligible for the Cook Islands, New Zealand. I think he's eligible for Samoa as well.
Yeah, good.
So Samoa or Tonga, it's one of them two. Someone told me that today. He's just through heritage from uncles and whatnot. But I this comment, and I read it. This comment seemed a bit off the cuff and a bit of a, hey, you better pick me for New Zealand because I can go and play for a tier 1 nation. I don't think he'll stay playing for the Cook Islands forever. And I think if New Zealand don't pick him for the end of the year for that tour over there, he will just go, well, sweet, I'm playing for England.
Yeah. I kind of hope he does play for England because I don't feel like England are a worry in the World Cup. I feel like New Zealand can be if they get. Now, don't get me wrong, a lot of the good Kiwi players are playing for the other nations. But I think if they look and Joey Manu does come back and you got Jerome Hughes and you put all these and Dylan Brown at full freight and you get all these blokes in, the Britton Nickeras, and you start thinking there's something special here. We've had a couple of down years. You throw a KL Hero in the centres and you're starting to really scare me. I want him to play for England because for me, this Ashes tour, and we haven't talked about it a whole lot, at the end of the year is going to be pretty special, right? We got 2 sellouts and Wembley's almost full. And I don't know how many Aussies are going to get tickets. It could be an absolute literal whitewash. They wear white jerseys for those that don't realise.
And they don't wash.
Well, that too. And he's English. He can say that. Can you imagine Iro and Herbie outside of Matty Nicholson and that Wigan freak out wide in the second row? Look, they don't have the halves, they don't have the fullback, they don't have the hooker. But from out, you're guilty. I want this to happen.
Oh yeah, I would love it to happen as well. Like I would literally go and buy the blue and the red England jersey and I have Hero's number on the back of it. It wouldn't even Everyone, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Knock On Podcast, brought to you by the good people of Zero Tackle. Your one-stop shop for everything rugby league. Breaking news, stories, transfers, contracts, the best independent journalists, in the country, led by none other than Mr. Scott Pride and Dan Nichols. Dan, you've got 5 landing spots for David Fifita. You've got your power rankings that don't make any sense. You've got your 20 thoughts on a Monday morning. What else can I ignore from you this week?
Well, look, you say that, yet every day I get a well-written Dan. He's the nicest guy in the world. Don't let him fool you. I'm going to go on record, and look, Canberra have been pretty darn good this season. They're way over.
Canberra are awesome. Now, just for record, Dan and I, we pick our top 8 every year, and I found the comment where I said Canberra in 8th. Where did you have them, Dan?
Like 14th or something. Doesn't matter.
You have them bottom 4.
We all make mistakes, mate, but I'm going to atone for my error, and I'm going to say
Good.
They beat Melbourne in the wet, a neutral venue, as underdogs. This week, if they beat the Bulldogs at home, under that pressure as favourites, they're the real deal. Find out on Zero Tackle why. But I actually enjoyed putting this together. I've just got to put the finishing touches on it. But I like the Raiders this year.
I like the Raiders. I love Jamal Fogarty. I like the Englishman, Matty Nichols. I like Morgan Smithies because he can't score tries, but he just fights everyone. They've got Big Red. I'm hit or miss on Matt Timoko, but the Canberra Raiders are a lot of fun because they have Jamal Fogarty.